Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm Amanda, co-founder of Bamboo Detroit. We build shared office space, and what I'm really inspired to share with you today is how we build an inclusive founder community here in Detroit. First, I want to share, I think starting Bamboo helped me discover my purpose, which is to bring people together. And as I reflect on how I got to this spot, building a community, I think it started way back when I was younger. And I realized my family was very divided across our region here in Detroit. And I think a lot of us have probably touched on this or will throughout the day that, there's often this us versus them, this Detroit versus suburb feel here. For me, one half of my family grew up cozy, middle class in Metro Detroit. The other half on the east side of Detroit trying to escape their city falling apart around them. One half was white, one half is mixed, Middle Eastern, black, and my sister and I kind of found ourselves in between trying to navigate our divorced family and how we could bring both sides together. So growing up with that awareness, I realized that I am a community builder. And what I really want to do here in Detroit and with you guys today is teach you how to bring people together in a way that's hopefully inclusive and intentional. I'm going to start by sharing a little bit about us. Bamboo started on accident because of failure, as many ideas do. For me, one summer, I came home and didn't really know what I was going to do yet, started going to grad school at Wayne State. For me, I'm a creative writer. I never took a single business class, so starting a business wasn't something I thought about or planned. And my very first job was at a startup company. I had never heard the word startup before. Like, for anyone who knows me today, that's probably shocking. And I was the second employee, helped grow the company to 15, 20 people, and then suddenly found myself laid off at home in my mom's basement, writing away and figuring out, what am I gonna do? So I started coming downtown, started connecting with the great energy here, and ended up meeting 3 friends who had an idea to start a co-working space. Ironically, a couple of those friends also experienced failure. They got rejected not once, not twice, but 3 times from the only business incubator downtown. So we thought we need a space to start our own ideas, to support each other, and to help people in Detroit feel welcome. Luckily, we were privileged to have a partner who had access to real estate. So we were able to convince his dad, let us take 2,000 square feet, one of your floors that's been empty for 10 years. Give us a few months. We're just going to test out this idea, see if it works, and take it from there. But we had no money, no capital to operate. This was all volunteer at first. So what we did was we built community. And that's where I really discovered my passion. That space is right here. It was 2,000 square feet. It was above a bail bond and below a music studio. So not what I would tell anybody looking to build an office space or a shared community space in Detroit to do. But it worked. So after a few years of growing the community, we moved, we expanded. We're now 20,000 square feet. And what I'm excited to share with you more is how we built 400 members. 65% are female founders or female partners in one of a business at Bamboo, and half are people of color, about half are Detroiters, and half live in Metro Detroit. So when I think about how did we build such a diverse, thriving community, it definitely started with being very people-focused, always inviting people in, having a culture of wanting to invite people in, and operating from a mindset of how do we be a platform of opportunity for others. Just like the previous talk, how do you constantly support the people around you in your local community? I was the only woman on the team. It was myself, an Italian, and 2 native Detroiters, African Americans. So having that diverse founding team was super critical to starting off in a right way where we were inviting people from all across Detroit. As we continued to grow and have resources, we always thought about how do we share those resources? How do we sponsor events? How do we invite new groups in? every time we have food and drinks, we spend money with local companies. We're intentional all the way through so that we're spreading that resource and that opportunity for others. And that goes all the way to the building that we're in, which is the Julian C. Madison building. We're at 1420 Washington now, where our 20,000 square feet space is. And that's one of the only women and minority-owned buildings in downtown Detroit. So it goes all the way through. Definitely come say hi and meet Sharon. She's really badass. So I just wanted to point out, when you're thinking about how to operate, how can you spread that opportunity, invite more people in, and think about it all the way through in your business or community group? The second thing I think about is brand. I think your brand is a way, kind of what you put out there in the world is what you're going to bring into you. So when we started, I was the only woman on the team, and after about a year or two, we realized we were only about 30% female members. And I think we can do a little bit better there. It doesn't feel right. So we started to look around and elevate the stories of the women in our community, really authentically. I think that's really important to point out. And we invited them to speak more, to host more events where we're showcasing them through our marketing, our storytelling, making sure we were more inclusive for women, reaching out to groups all the way from organic community groups like YAB, which is called Young, Ambitious, and Beautiful, to more formal groups like Inforum and the Michigan Women's Foundation. And that really helped us elevate the women in our community, and a couple years later got from 1/3 to 2/3 women founders. So as you're thinking about how to be more inclusive, how to attract more people in, think about the brand and the messaging you're putting out there. The third thing I think about is culture. Culture for me is how I want you to feel when you come into Bamboo or our community space. I want you to feel inspired and empowered and supported. But culture is kind of hard, so I also think about it as living and executing your values every single day. For us, we value community, inclusion, having welcoming and supportive staff, and thinking it's not just what you do, but it's why you're doing it and how you're doing it every day. So are you welcoming? Are you inviting people in? Sometimes that approach can take down that barrier or that feeling of it's not for you. And that's what we kind of experience a lot in Detroit. And I'm also kind of excited to see that we're about half Detroiters, half Metro Detroiters, because I want us to operate as a way that's welcoming to existing people and new people, and that engages all different kind of walks of life. So you're not just having an office with us, but you're aware of the groups around you. You know about Build and Food Lab and conferences like this where you can connect with other people who are on the ground in Detroit. And the last thing I think about is network. Network comes up a lot when you're talking about access to capital as a business owner or startup. It's scary, the numbers out there of how little women and people of color can get access to capital. So when I think about Bamboo, as a community, we're also a network of people. And I try to open up our network as much as possible. A couple ways we do that. We let our members build events in our space. We give them free access to the event space, and we support them. We don't just say, hey, throw an event. We do it in a way that's intentional to bring new people in. One example is a couple years ago, we met a really talented young entrepreneur named Courtney Smith. She started the Detroit Phoenix Center, and she asked me, are co-working spaces for nonprofits? Sometimes they seem really techy or really expensive. And we said, no, of course not. We're very affordable and accessible. But she wanted to find other nonprofit founders, and she didn't know where that was in Detroit. So we gave her access to the space. We promoted her event series, helped sponsor some food and drinks, and now she runs one of the most popular meetups at her space called Nachos and Nonprofits. It's once a month. It brings 30 to 100 people, nonprofit founders from Ann Arbor to Detroit together, and now she has that support that she was looking for, and we have brought in more people we weren't really reaching. So think about ways you can do that where you're supporting other people to lead and build around you, and kind of stepping back and using your resources to support them. We also encourage members to bring other members in. And we try to think of ways, how can we take our network outside of downtown? We think it's important to have accessible, welcoming space there, but how do we get out and move around? In Detroit, we're very challenged by being so spread out and so divided. So we've tested out doing pop-ups, and we're always open to other ideas like that. So when you think about network, how can you empower other people to help you open up your network? So just to recap, you can start a company. Don't be afraid. I never thought that I could do that, being a creative writer, and not really knowing what I was doing on the business side at first. And as you're thinking about inclusive community, think about the people, how you operate in a way that supports them, branding, the network, and the culture that you're building. Thank you, guys, and come say hello. That's the building we're in at 1420 Washington Boulevard.